The sun sank behind the horizon, bleeding streaks of orange and crimson into the Texas sky. It had been a year since Sally Hardesty escaped the Sawyer family, a broken, bloodied survivor of an unspeakable nightmare. The world moved on, dismissing her story as the ramblings of a traumatized woman. But the small, forgotten town of Newt, Texas, had not. Life returned to a semblance of normalcy for the locals, though whispers of strange happenings still lingered. Disappearances, the stench of decay in the air. No one spoke of the Sawyer family, but everyone knew to avoid the old farmhouse and its shadowy woods. It was into this silence that a group of friends ventured. Emily, a sharp-tongued documentary filmmaker, had a passion for uncovering buried truths. She had dragged her friends along. Jason, her steady-handed cameraman, Lisa, her skeptical best friend, and Eric, the thrill-seeker who couldn't resist. Her dangerous dare. They weren't locals, but they had heard the rumors, the urban legends of Leatherface and his cannibalistic family. To Emily, it was the perfect story. To the others, it was a bad idea. We'll get some creepy footage, sell it to a streaming service, and boom, Emily said as their van rumbled along a dusty road. We'll be famous. Or dead, Lisa muttered, arms crossed tightly over her chest. The van pulled to a stop near a rusty gate overgrown with weeds. Beyond it, the path to the farmhouse lay in eerie silence. The group stepped out, their boots crunching against the dry earth. The air was thick, heavy with a rancid smell that made Lisa gag. "Smells like roadkill," Eric said, grinning nervously. They followed the trail, cameras rolling as shadows deepened around them. The farmhouse loomed ahead, a crumbling husk of wood and despair. "This is it," Emily whispered, her excitement almost palpable. "The house where it all happened." Jason hesitated. "Maybe we should just get some exterior shots and leave. We don't know if anyone's actually living here." "Oh, come on," Emily said, pushing past him. "It's abandoned. Let's check it out." The front door creaked open under Emily's touch, revealing darkness within. The air was stale, carrying a faint metallic tang. Dust floated in the beams of their flashlights as they stepped inside, the floor groaning beneath their weight. "This place gives me the creeps," Lisa whispered, clutching Eric's arm. "That's the point," Eric replied, though his voice wavered. The house was a time capsule of terror. Mismatched furniture lay overturned, and walls were scarred with deep gashes. Emily's camera caught it all. The animal bones strung from the ceiling, the stained butcher's tools scattered across a table, the ominous door leading to the basement. "No way," Lisa said, shaking her head as Emily gestured toward the door. "We have to," Emily insisted. "This is where they kept their victims. It's also where we'll die," Jason said under his breath. Still, curiosity drove them. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. One by one they descended, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. The basement was worse than they imagined. Hooks hung from the ceiling, and the floor was slick with something they didn't want to identify. A generator hummed in the corner, powering a single flickering bulb. "Oh my God," Lisa whispered, covering her mouth. "What is this?" "Evidence," Emily said, her camera capturing every horrific detail. Then they heard it, a faint sound like the creak of leather stretching. "Did you hear that?" Jason asked, his voice barely audible. The group froze, ears straining. The sound came again, closer this time. A guttural growl followed, low and menacing. "We need to go," Lisa said, backing toward the stairs. Before they could move, the door at the top of the stairs slammed shut. Panic erupted as they scrambled up, pounding on the door. It wouldn't. "Budge, who's there?" Eric shouted. The growl deepened, followed by the unmistakable sound of a chainsaw roaring to life. Chaos erupted as the group fled deeper into the basement, desperate for an escape. The chainsaw's roar filled the space, drowning out their screams. In the flickering light, a hulking figure emerged. Leatherface, his grotesque mask of stitched flesh illuminated by the glow of the bulb. Eric grabbed a rusted pipe and swung it wildly as Leatherface advanced. The blow glanced off the monster's shoulder, barely slowing him. Eric screamed as the chainsaw came down, cutting through flesh and bone. Blood sprayed across the walls. "Run!" Emily screamed, dragging Lisa and Jason toward a side door. They stumbled into a tunnel, the walls lined with rotting wood and the stench of death. Behind them, Leatherface gave chase, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground. The tunnel opened into a cavernous room filled with grotesque trophies, skulls, bones, and scraps of clothing. The friends searched frantically for a way out, but the walls seemed to close in around them. Jason found a ladder leading to a trapdoor above. "Here!" he shouted, climbing as fast as he could. Lisa followed, sobbing uncontrollably. Emily was last, glancing down to see Leatherface charging toward them, his chainsaw raised. She screamed as his blade grazed her leg, but she kicked out, knocking him back just enough to slam the trapdoor shut. They emerged in the middle of the woods, the cool night air a stark contrast to the horrors below. Limping and battered, they stumbled toward their van, parked in the distance. But as they reached it, the realization hit them. The keys were gone. No. "Oh no," Emily cried, searching her pockets. In the distance, the sound of the chainsaw echoed once more. Lisa pointed toward the road. "We run, now." They sprinted into the darkness, the chainsaw growing louder behind them. One by one, the friends were picked off, their screams swallowed by the endless night. Only Emily made it to the highway, bloodied and broken. She collapsed in the path of a truck, waving her arms frantically. The driver stopped, stepping out. To help her. "What happened to you?" he asked. But before Emily could answer, the roar of the chainsaw filled the air again. Leatherface emerged from the darkness, his mask glistening with fresh blood. The driver screamed as Emily crawled beneath the truck, too weak to fight. The last thing she saw was Leatherface's towering silhouette, the chainsaw revving as he closed in. And then there was only darkness.